Welcome to Beyond the Struggles, the channel where we explore the lives of extraordinary people who rose above challenges to change the world. Today we journey into the life of Leonardo da Vinci, a man who faced obstacles, defied limitations, and left a legacy that still inspires us centuries later. If you love stories of perseverance, creativity, and genius, make sure to hit subscribe and join us on this journey beyond the struggles. In the heart of the Italian Renaissance, a period of extraordinary creativity and discovery, one man emerged whose mind seemed centuries ahead of his own era. He was an artist, a scientist, an inventor, and a dreamer. He was Leonardo da Vinci, a man whose ideas, sketches, and paintings would resonate through the centuries. Yet his journey was far from easy. Born into circumstances that could have limited him, he defied society's expectations and the constraints of his time to become one of history's greatest geniuses. Leonardo was born on April 15, 1452, in the small Tuscan village of Vinci. He was the illegitimate son of Ser Piero, a respected notary, and a peasant woman named Caterina. In the rigid social hierarchy of the 15th century, being born out of wedlock could have closed many doors, but Leonardo's insatiable curiosity could not be contained. From a young age, he wandered the hills, forests, and fields surrounding his village, observing the natural world with a detail and intensity unmatched by those around him. Birds in flight, the movement of water, the twisting of vines, nothing escaped his gaze. He drew everything he saw, filling notebooks with sketches that captured both the surface of reality and the forces that shaped it. His early fascination with observation became the foundation of a lifelong pursuit, to understand how the world worked, not just to reproduce it. He sought patterns in nature, connections between seemingly unrelated phenomena, and underlying principles that governed life itself. Even as a child, he displayed a remarkable ability to translate what he saw into forms, diagrams, and ideas that were both artistic and scientific. His talent was not limited to replication, but extended into interpretation, revealing the hidden mechanics of life. By his early teens, Leonardo's abilities were widely recognized. He was sent to Florence to apprentice under Andrea del Verrocchio, one of the most celebrated artists of the era. In Verrocchio's workshop, Leonardo was immersed in a vibrant environment of painting, sculpture, and engineering. Here he learned the technical skills required of a master artist: the careful mixing of pigments, the construction of perspective, the modeling of three-dimensional forms in clay and metal. But Leonardo's curiosity went far beyond technique. He dissected cadavers to understand muscles and bones, he studied the flow of water to predict its movement, and he sketched the flight of birds with meticulous detail. His work was both precise and imaginative, blending observation with invention in a way that no one else of his time could match. It was during this period that Leonardo began to develop his signature approach to art and science, a seamless integration of observation, analysis, and creativity. He did not see painting as separate from anatomy or engineering. Every sketch, every study, every experiment was part of a larger pursuit of knowledge. He constantly asked questions. How does light fall on a surface? Why does a wing lift? What makes the human face expressive? His notebooks from this period are filled with hundreds of sketches and diagrams, demonstrating an almost obsessive attention to detail, yet always guided by a desire to understand the greater whole. Leonardo's genius was recognized early. Even as a teenager, he produced work of such extraordinary quality that it astonished his teachers and peers. While assisting Verrocchio on a painting, Leonardo was assigned to paint one of the angels. When Verrocchio saw Leonardo's work, he was reportedly so impressed that he vowed never to paint again. This story, whether legend or fact, illustrates the impact of Leonardo's talent. He was not simply a student of art, but an innovator, someone whose vision expanded the boundaries of what was considered possible. Despite his remarkable abilities, Leonardo's path was not without challenges. He often struggled to complete commissions, distracted by new ideas, experiments, and studies. He moved frequently, seeking patrons who would support both his art and his inventions. At times, his restless nature frustrated those around him, yet it was this very restlessness that propelled him toward discoveries and creations beyond the imagination of his contemporaries. He lived in a constant state of exploration, driven by curiosity and a refusal to accept limitations. Leonardo's mind encompassed both the microscopic and the cosmic. He studied the human body, The structure of bones and muscles, the movement of blood through veins and arteries. He examined the flow of rivers, the behavior of waves, and the patterns of turbulence. He designed machines that resembled modern helicopters, tanks, and automated devices. He theorized about flight, optics, and geology. Everything in nature was interconnected, and Leonardo sought to understand it all. He did not merely copy what he saw. He sought to reveal the principles behind it, to uncover the underlying laws that governed motion, life, and light. Even in his early years, Leonardo's vision went beyond the immediate demands of his world. While others were focused on completing commissions or achieving social status, he explored questions with no immediate practical purpose, questions that would only bear fruit centuries later. He sketched inventions that could never be built with the materials of his time. He mapped out studies of anatomy with precision that prefigured modern medicine. He recorded observations about water, wind, and flight that anticipated the work of scientists long after his death. His mind bridged the gap between art and science, imagination and reality, observation and innovation.
Leonardo's life demonstrates that genius is not born solely from talent, but from curiosity, perseverance, and the courage to confront challenges. His early experiences, wandering the Tuscan countryside, studying animals and plants, experimenting with sketches, formed the foundation of a mind that would change the world. He transformed obstacles into opportunities, using the limitations imposed by his social status, by his restless nature, and by the expectations of society to fuel his exploration and invention. In every sketch, in every note, in every unfinished canvas, Leonardo da Vinci left a record of a mind that never stopped asking questions. He was a man of contradictions, deeply observant yet wildly imaginative, grounded in reality yet dreaming of the impossible. He did not simply follow a path laid out for him. He carved his own, guided by curiosity, creativity, and an unyielding desire to understand. Leonardo da Vinci was more than an artist, more than an inventor, more than a scholar. He was a visionary who looked beyond the struggles of his time and glimpsed the possibilities of the future. From the hills of Vinci to the courts of Florence and Milan, his journey was one of discovery, persistence, and unending wonder. His story reminds us that true genius arises not from ease or privilege, but from the courage to question, to explore, and to dream without limits. And so begins the story of Leonardo da Vinci, the man of 1,000 visions, whose ideas, sketches, and discoveries continue to inspire the world, reminding us that curiosity and perseverance can take us far beyond the struggles that might hold us back. Leonardo da Vinci was born in the small rolling hills of Tuscany, in a quiet village called Vinci. The year was 1452, a time when Italy was on the cusp of the Renaissance, a period of immense artistic and intellectual awakening. Yet Leonardo's beginnings were humble, even complicated. He was the illegitimate son of Ser Piero, a well-known notary, and Caterina, a peasant woman. In the rigid society of the 15th century, such a birth could have meant a life of limited opportunity, a barrier to education, prestige, or advancement. But Leonardo's mind would not be constrained. From an early age, he displayed a relentless curiosity about the world around him. The hills, forests, and streams of Tuscany became his playground and his classroom. He wandered the countryside, observing the flight of birds, the movement of water, the shapes of plants, and the structure of animals. Nothing escaped his notice. Every leaf, feather, and ripple in a stream was meticulously studied, absorbed, and later recorded in the countless sketches that would form his notebooks. He was a child who asked endless questions, a mind attuned to patterns, motion, and life itself. Education, in the conventional sense, was limited for Leonardo. He received basic instruction in reading, writing, and arithmetic, but he did not attend formal schooling beyond what his father could provide. Instead, he learned through observation and practice, teaching himself through drawing, experimenting, and constant curiosity. This unconventional education allowed his mind to roam freely, unrestricted by rigid curricula or societal expectations. He learned from the world itself, its geometry, its physics, its anatomy, and its infinite variety. Even in these early years, Leonardo's sketches reveal a deep fascination with both art and mechanics. He would draw plants with extraordinary precision, animals in motion, and machines of his imagination, long before he had access to professional workshops. Each line and curve reflected not just talent, but a desire to understand the principles underlying the forms he observed. His art and science were inseparable, as if every leaf, every bird, every stream was part of a larger code waiting to be deciphered. Leonardo's childhood in Vinci also shaped his character. Growing up as an illegitimate child in a society that valued status taught him independence. He was often on his own, learning to think, explore, and question without relying on authority or guidance. This freedom would become a hallmark of his later life, a restless mind that would travel from Florence to Milan to France, always searching, always experimenting, always seeking knowledge beyond the ordinary. In the quiet countryside of Vinci, among the hills and olive groves, the foundations of Leonardo da Vinci's genius were laid. He may have lacked formal privileges, but he possessed something far greater: a mind alive with curiosity, a heart determined to explore, and eyes that saw not just the world as it was, but as it could be. From these early days, the seeds of the man of 1,000 visions began to grow, destined to leave a mark on history unlike any other.
As Leonardo da Vinci entered his teenage years, his talent had already begun to outshine that of his peers. The quiet boy from Vinci was now ready to step into a world that could both challenge and refine his genius. At the age of 14, he was sent to Florence to apprentice with Andrea del Verrocchio, one of the city's most esteemed artists and sculptors. Florence, the jewel of the Renaissance, was a city alive with creativity, innovation, and ambition. Here Leonardo would learn the tools of his craft, but he would also discover the breadth of his imagination. Verrocchio's workshop was a place of learning, experimentation, and collaboration. Apprentices worked on paintings, sculptures, and public commissions, mastering the skills that would define them as artists. Leonardo, however, approached his apprenticeship differently. He absorbed not only technique but knowledge itself, analyzing the way light fell on surfaces, studying the anatomy of models, and observing motion in both humans and animals. His curiosity extended beyond the workshop. He dissected cadavers to understand the human body, explored water currents, and studied the flight of birds. Every observation, every sketch, every experiment became a building block for a mind that sought total understanding. Leonardo's talent quickly distinguished him from other apprentices. Even in the early works produced under Verrocchio, his innovative approach was evident. He experimented with perspective and composition, blending realism with emotional depth. He developed techniques that would later become hallmarks of his style, such as sfumato, the delicate blending of colors and tones to create soft transitions, and chiaroscuro, the use of light and shadow to give depth and volume. These innovations were revolutionary, and they revealed a young artist capable of transforming the very way people saw the world. It was during this period that one of the most famous anecdotes about Leonardo's early brilliance emerged. While assisting Verrocchio on the painting The Baptism of Christ, Leonardo was given the task of painting one of the angels. The result was so lifelike, so full of grace, that Verrocchio reportedly abandoned painting altogether, overwhelmed by the skill of his young apprentice. Whether legend or truth, this story reflects a reality that cannot be denied. Leonardo was extraordinary. Even among masters, his talent was unmistakable. Florence itself shaped Leonardo as much as Verrocchio's workshop. The city was a hub of culture, science, and commerce. Artists, architects, scholars, and inventors thrived alongside merchants and patrons eager to display their wealth and taste. In this vibrant environment, Leonardo's mind was exposed to ideas, debates, and discoveries that would fuel his imagination. He studied classical texts, observed engineering projects, and marveled at the innovations of his contemporaries. Florence offered a stage for his curiosity, a laboratory for his intellect, and a canvas for his artistry. But Leonardo's apprenticeship was not just about skill. It was about observation, analysis, and understanding. He dissected animals, studied plant forms, and sketched mechanical devices, blending art and science in ways that no one else dared. He questioned, experimented, and imagined. Every project became an opportunity to explore, every commission a chance to learn, every moment a step toward mastery. After years of apprenticeship in Florence, Leonardo da Vinci emerged as more than just a talented artist. He became a visionary who could transform the way the world saw art. It was in these years that he began to explore the relationship between light and shadow, form and depth, life and emotion. Leonardo was not content with simply painting the outward appearance of his subjects. He sought to capture their inner essence, the soul that lay behind the eyes. He experimented with new techniques that would redefine painting forever. One of his most revolutionary contributions was sfumato, a method of blending colors and tones so seamlessly that lines and edges dissolved into one another. This allowed for subtle transitions between light and shadow, creating forms that appeared alive, breathing, and fully three-dimensional. In the hands of Leonardo, light was not merely illumination, it was a tool for storytelling, a way to reveal the contours of the human soul. Alongside sfumato, he mastered chiaroscuro, the use of dramatic contrast between light and dark. Through this technique, Leonardo imbued his subjects with depth and emotion, creating figures that seemed to emerge from the shadows, alive in space, yet suspended in a moment of profound stillness. Every fold of a garment, every curve of a hand, every glint in the eye was studied and rendered with painstaking precision. His goal was not simply beauty, but truth, the truth of the human condition captured on canvas. During this period, Leonardo produced some of his earliest independent works, including portraits such as Ginevra da Vinci, and religious commissions that showcased his extraordinary ability to convey both technical mastery and psychological insight. Even in these early paintings, one can see the hallmarks of his genius: meticulous observation, careful study of anatomy, and a sensitivity to light, atmosphere, and human expression that was unmatched by his contemporaries. Leonardo's fascination with light and shadow extended beyond the human figure. He studied landscapes, the play of sunlight on water, the subtle shifts in the sky at dawn and dusk. In each study, he sought to understand the principles behind what he observed, to analyze, measure, and replicate the patterns of nature. His notebooks from this period are filled with sketches of mountains, rivers, and clouds, alongside detailed diagrams of perspective and geometry. Everything he learned about the natural world informed his art, creating a seamless connection between observation and creation. It was during these years that Leonardo began to redefine what a painting could be. He approached each work as a scientific study as much as an artistic endeavor. He dissected the human body to understand muscles, tendons, and bones, ensuring that every figure he painted moved with lifelike realism. He studied optics, observing how light bent, reflected, and refracted, and applied these principles to the rendering of skin, eyes, and landscapes. Through this meticulous attention to detail, Leonardo's paintings achieved a depth and vibrancy that astonished those who saw them. Perhaps most importantly, Leonardo understood that art was not merely a reflection of reality, it was an interpretation of it. He painted not what the eye sees, but what the mind perceives. Through the careful orchestration of light, shadow, and composition, he could guide the viewer's attention, evoke emotion, and tell a story without words. Each painting became a window into a living, breathing world, a moment frozen in time yet charged with life. By mastering light and shadow, Leonardo elevated painting to new heights. He transformed the way artists thought about form, depth, and perspective, influencing generations to come. His early works were more than skillful reproductions. They were experiments in human perception, investigations into the nature of vision and the subtleties of the human heart. In these formative years, Leonardo da Vinci was no longer just a young apprentice or prodigy. He had become an innovator, an observer, and a storyteller who could bring both the physical and emotional dimensions of his subjects to life. His mastery of light and shadow was not merely technical, it was philosophical, reflecting a profound understanding of the world and the complexity of human experience. Through his art, Leonardo invited the viewer to see more deeply, to look beyond the surface, to experience life as he saw it, intricate, luminous, and full of hidden truths. In this pursuit, he began to leave his mark on history, not through fame or fortune, but through the extraordinary ability to reveal the beauty, mystery, and humanity inherent in every moment. While Leonardo da Vinci had already begun to revolutionize art, his curiosity extended far beyond painting. For him, art and science were inseparable. The world was not just something to depict, it was a puzzle to understand. a mechanism to explore and a canvas for discovery. Leonardo did not see boundaries between disciplines. He approached nature as both an artist and a scientist, observing, questioning, and recording with relentless precision. From an early age, Leonardo's fascination with the mechanics of life became apparent. He studied the flight of birds, tracing the curvature of their wings and the motion of their feathers. He watched the flow of rivers, the patterns of waves, and the eddies formed by obstacles in water. He dissected the human body to understand muscles, bones, and organs, producing drawings so accurate that centuries later, modern scientists would study them for reference. He filled notebooks with notes on anatomy, geology, hydraulics, optics, and engineering, each page reflecting a mind that sought the principles underlying the natural world. Leonardo's scientific approach was revolutionary for his time. He combined observation with experimentation, making hypotheses and testing them wherever possible. He understood the importance of measurement, detail, and documentation. For him, knowledge was not abstract, it was tangible, discoverable, and interconnected. Every sketch of a muscle, every diagram of water flow, and every study of light and shadow was part of a larger inquiry into the laws of nature. He dissected over 30 human bodies in pursuit of anatomical understanding, carefully mapping the bones, muscles, and internal organs. His studies of the heart and circulatory system, completed centuries before modern physiology, reveal a mind capable of seeing patterns invisible to others. He did not simply record what he saw, he analyzed it, theorized about function, and illustrated it with meticulous clarity. Even today, doctors and scholars reference his anatomical sketches for their accuracy and insight. But Leonardo's curiosity was not limited to living things. He designed mechanical devices that anticipated technologies centuries ahead of his time. Flying machines inspired by birds, armored vehicles, bridges, water-lifting devices, and even rudimentary robots. He studied the forces of nature, from the turbulence of rivers to the erosion of soil, seeking to understand not only how things worked, but why. He approached the world as a system, observing the connections between human invention, natural laws, and the forces that governed both. In his notebooks, Leonardo frequently combined artistic sketches with scientific diagrams, blending aesthetics with engineering. A drawing of a river might include precise notes on water flow, while a study of a human arm might reveal the mechanics of muscle and tendon. Every observation informed both his art and his science, reinforcing the belief that understanding one could enhance the other. Leonardo's scientific endeavors were fueled by an insatiable curiosity and a refusal to accept conventional wisdom. He questioned everything, from the anatomy of the human body to the principles of flight, the behavior of water, and the movement of the stars. His mind was constantly in motion, restless and seeking answers to questions that had never been asked before. Through these studies, Leonardo da Vinci transformed the role of the artist into that of a thinker and explorer. He showed that art could illuminate science and science could inspire art. His notebooks, filled with sketches, diagrams, and observations, remain a testament to a mind that sought to uncover the secrets of the universe. They reveal not only what Leonardo knew, but how he thought, methodically, imaginatively, and without fear of the unknown. Leonardo's genius lay not only in his ability to create, but in his ability to see the world as a system of interconnected wonders. He emerged as a scientist in the truest sense, a relentless observer, a meticulous recorder, and a visionary thinker whose insights would resonate long beyond his own time. Leonardo da Vinci's genius was not confined to painting or anatomy. His curiosity propelled him into the realm of invention, where imagination met meticulous observation. He looked at the world and asked not just how it worked, but how it could be improved, transformed, or recreated. Machines, flight, and engineering became playgrounds for his restless mind, and he sketched ideas centuries ahead of their time. In Milan, serving Duke Ludovico Sforza, Leonardo had the opportunity to apply his inventive mind on a grand scale. He designed bridges, canals, and military machines, blending artistry, engineering, and ingenuity. His sketches reveal armored vehicles that resemble early tanks, self-propelled carts that anticipate automobiles, and even devices resembling parachutes and helicopters. Many of these machines were never built, constrained by the materials and technology of his era, yet they demonstrate a mind capable of envisioning the impossible. Leonardo's approach to invention was uniquely holistic. He observed the principles of nature and applied them to machines, studying water, air, and mechanics to understand how energy and motion could be harnessed. He created designs for hydraulic pumps, water lifting devices, and even bridges that could span rivers in record time. Each design reflected not only technical knowledge but also aesthetic consideration. Leonardo believed that functionality and beauty were inseparable. His fascination with flight was among his most ambitious pursuits. Leonardo meticulously studied birds, analyzing wing structure, feather placement, and motion. From these observations, he sketched ornithopters and gliders, imagining a human flight powered by understanding the laws of aerodynamics. Though the technology of his time could not bring these machines to life, his drawings laid the conceptual groundwork for centuries of innovation to follow. Leonardo also applied his inventive mind to war. He sketched cannons, catapults, and other military devices, combining efficiency with protection. Yet even in these designs, there was a careful attention to detail, precision, and mechanics, principles that transcended the battlefield and applied to engineering as a whole. Each invention reflected his belief that observation and understanding could overcome limitations. What made Leonardo remarkable as an inventor was his ability to think beyond the immediate, to imagine solutions before the world was ready for them. His notebooks are filled with diagrams of gears, pulleys, flying machines, and automata, each carefully annotated with measurements, angles, and principles of physics. He treated every idea with the seriousness of a scientist and the artistry of a painter, blending logic, creativity, and foresight in a way no one else could. Leonardo da Vinci's inventions remind us that creativity knows no boundaries. He looked beyond the struggles of his time, beyond the limitations of technology, and envisioned a future shaped by curiosity, intelligence, and daring. Even if many of his machines were never built, the ideas themselves became timeless, inspiring generations of engineers, architects, and inventors to dream bigger and push further. Through his inventions, Leonardo revealed the power of a mind unrestrained by convention, a spirit unafraid to challenge the impossible, and a vision that continues to inspire humanity centuries later. Between 1495 and 1498, Leonardo da Vinci undertook one of the most ambitious projects of his career, The Last Supper. Commissioned by Duke Ludovico Sforza for the convent of Santa Maria delle Grazie in Milan, this painting would become one of the most studied, revered, and imitated works in the history of art. Yet behind the grandeur and fame of the masterpiece lies a story of innovation, risk, and genius. Leonardo approached The Last Supper not merely as a religious commission, but as a scientific and artistic experiment. He sought to capture a single climactic moment, the instant when Jesus announces that one of his apostles will betray him. Each figure reacts differently: shock, disbelief, grief, or denial. Leonardo observed not only the human form, but the human spirit, translating subtle emotion into gestures, expressions, and posture. In doing so, he transformed a biblical scene into a profoundly human story. He experimented with materials and techniques in pursuit of his vision. Rather than painting on traditional wet fresco, Leonardo applied tempera and oil on a dry plaster wall. This choice allowed him to achieve unprecedented detail, subtle shading, and delicate blending of color, but it also introduced vulnerability. The paint began to deteriorate within decades, leaving the masterpiece in a fragile state that has required centuries of restoration. Yet even in its incomplete preservation, the brilliance of Leonardo's work remains undeniable. Composition was central to Leonardo's innovation. He arranged the apostles in dynamic groups of 3, balancing movement with stillness, tension with calm. Christ sits at the center, forming a triangular composition that draws the eye, while the perspective lines of the walls and ceiling converge toward him, creating depth and focus. The viewer is invited into the scene, positioned as if at the table with Christ and his followers, experiencing the tension, drama, and intimacy of the moment. Leonardo's mastery of light and shadow, developed over years of meticulous study, plays a crucial role in the painting. Soft gradations of tone reveal the contours of faces and hands, while light guides the eye to key details: the hand of Christ, the look of betrayal, the gestures of shock. Every element is carefully orchestrated to convey psychological realism and emotional intensity. The Last Supper also demonstrates Leonardo's fascination with anatomy, proportion, and gesture. He captured the subtleties of posture, the intricacies of muscle tension, and the natural movement of hands and arms. No figure is static. Each reacts according to inner thought and feeling, creating a sense of living drama frozen in time. The painting is a testament to Leonardo's ability to merge observation, science, and art into a cohesive vision. Beyond its technical mastery, The Last Supper is revolutionary in the way it portrays narrative. Leonardo did not depict a static tableau or idealized figures. Instead, he conveyed a story in motion, a psychological drama where every reaction is unique and human. The painting reflects his belief that understanding the natural world, including human emotion, requires careful observation, empathy, and imagination. Even centuries later, The Last Supper continues to inspire artists, scholars, and audiences. It stands as a symbol of Leonardo's genius, a mind that bridged art, science, and humanity, that could capture the invisible threads of emotion and thought, and that saw connections where others saw only surfaces. In The Last Supper, Leonardo da Vinci achieved more than a masterpiece of art. He created a window into the human soul, a study of movement, emotion, and composition that remains unparalleled. Through innovation, observation, and unyielding curiosity, he transformed a religious scene into a timeless testament to the power of vision, creativity, and understanding. Leonardo's work on this masterpiece reminds us that art is not merely about representation. It is about insight, empathy, and the courage to see beyond the ordinary, beyond the struggles, and into the extraordinary. After his years in Milan, Leonardo da Vinci returned to Florence, a city alive with artistic rivalry and political intrigue. It was here that he began a series of ambitious projects that revealed a different facet of his genius: his fascination with human anatomy, movement, and the chaos of battle. Among these works were his legendary battle drawings, studies that captured the violence, strategy, and energy of warfare with a precision and imagination unlike anything seen before. Leonardo approached these drawings not simply as illustrations, but as scientific studies of motion and mechanics. He observed the human body in action, studying muscles, posture, and weight distribution to depict soldiers in realistic motion. Horses rearing, knights clashing, banners waving in the wind, all were rendered with anatomical accuracy and dynamic composition. Each sketch was a detailed investigation into how humans and animals moved in the chaos of combat, reflecting both artistic mastery and meticulous observation. During this period, Florence itself was a city in flux with constant conflicts and political maneuvering. Leonardo's work on battle scenes was often tied to commissions from patrons interested in military engineering and strategy. He designed war machines, fortified cities, and devices for both offense and defense, blending innovation with artistry. Though many of these projects were never realized, his sketches remain a record of ideas centuries ahead of their time, combining imagination with practical understanding. The battle drawings also illustrate Leonardo's restless mind and perfectionism. He constantly revised compositions, studied the anatomy of every figure, and explored multiple perspectives to capture motion and emotion. Some drawings depict hundreds of individual figures in complex interactions, each rendered with careful attention to detail. The tension, energy, and flow of the scene convey not only the physical reality of battle, but the psychological experience of fear, courage, and chaos. Beyond their immediate purpose, these works reflect Leonardo's broader philosophy. He saw the human body, animals, and machines as interconnected systems, each subject to the same principles of movement and force. His studies of leverage, balance, and momentum informed both his artistic and engineering endeavors, demonstrating the seamless integration of art, science, and invention. The battle drawings, in this sense, were more than military studies. They were explorations of life, motion, and the natural laws governing both. Even though many of Leonardo's grand battle projects remained unfinished, the drawings themselves became legendary, influencing generations of artists and engineers. They reveal a mind unafraid to confront complexity, to study chaos, and to translate it into order on paper. Through these sketches, Leonardo captured not only the physicality of conflict, but its drama, strategy, and humanity. In returning to Florence, Leonardo da Vinci once again demonstrated that his genius could traverse multiple realms simultaneously. He combined observation, imagination, and scientific inquiry to create works that were both visionary and practical. The battle drawings remind us that Leonardo did not merely see the world. He dissected it, analyzed it, and reimagined it, leaving a legacy of insight, creativity, and innovation that continues to inspire centuries later. Perhaps no painting in the history of art has captivated the world as much as Leonardo da Vinci's Mona Lisa. Painted around 1503 in Florence, this portrait is more than a depiction of a woman. It is a study of humanity, psychology, and the delicate interplay between light, shadow, and emotion. Leonardo's approach to this work exemplifies his genius: meticulous observation, scientific precision, and an unyielding quest to reveal the unseen layers of life. From the very first strokes, Leonardo sought to capture more than a likeness. He explored the subtleties of facial expression, the movement hidden behind stillness, and the essence of personality itself. The Mona Lisa's smile is famously enigmatic, neither fully joyful nor entirely reserved, yet entirely alive. It shifts as the viewer's eyes wander across her face, a testament to Leonardo's mastery of sfumato, the soft blending of tones that dissolves harsh lines and creates depth, shadow, and a lifelike quality. Light and shadow play a critical role in the painting. Leonardo studied the way illumination interacts with the skin, the contours of the face, and the folds of garments. He carefully rendered the subtle transitions of color and tone, giving the illusion of volume and depth. Even the background landscape reflects his scientific curiosity. Winding rivers, distant mountains, and atmospheric perspective create a sense of infinite space, linking the sitter to the natural world. Every detail is deliberate, measured, and harmonized, demonstrating the intersection of art and observation that defined his work. Leonardo's understanding of anatomy is evident in the Mona Lisa. He rendered her hands and arms with precise knowledge of muscles and bone structure, ensuring that even the simplest gestures convey grace and natural movement. Her posture, her gaze, and the gentle positioning of her hands all communicate poise, balance, and subtle emotion. Every element of the composition serves to convey not just physical realism, but a psychological presence that draws the viewer into her world. The Mona Lisa is also a reflection of Leonardo's philosophy, that art should be grounded in observation, study, and the quest to understand life itself. He combined his knowledge of anatomy, optics, geology, and light with an imaginative eye to create a portrait that transcends time. She is not merely a person on a canvas. She is an embodiment of life, perception, and mystery. This portrait would come to symbolize Leonardo's genius and the Renaissance itself, a fusion of art, science, and humanism. Her allure lies in the delicate balance of precision and ambiguity, realism and suggestion. Even centuries after it was painted, viewers continue to marvel at her gaze, the subtle smile and the depth of expression captured in a single image. Through the Mona Lisa, Leonardo da Vinci demonstrated that true mastery lies not only in technique, but in insight, observation, and the courage to look beyond appearances. He captured life itself on a canvas, creating a work that invites endless reflection, interpretation, and admiration. In this painting, Leonardo reminds us that curiosity, patience, and an unrelenting pursuit of understanding can produce creations that endure far beyond their time. In 1516, Leonardo da Vinci took a bold step that would mark the final chapter of his remarkable life. At the invitation of King Francis III, he left Italy and moved to France, bringing with him a lifetime of art, invention, and knowledge. The king, fascinated by Leonardo's genius, welcomed him as the greatest man who ever lived. Here, in the Loire Valley, Leonardo would spend his remaining years in relative peace, continuing to explore, design, and create. At the Château du Clos-Lucé, adjacent to the royal palace, Leonardo found a sanctuary where his restless mind could roam freely. He brought with him his sketches, notebooks, and unfinished works, including plans for machines, anatomical studies, and conceptual inventions. Though his hands had begun to tire and his health gradually declined, his mind remained sharp, curious, and endlessly inventive. He continued to design, to sketch, and to ponder the mysteries of nature and humanity. During this period, Leonardo worked closely with the king, advising on architecture, military engineering, and urban planning. He drew elaborate designs for bridges, canals, and fortifications, many of which were far ahead of the technology of the time. Yet his projects were not merely practical. They carried his signature vision of elegance and harmony, blending function with beauty in every line and form. Leonardo's work in France reflects the culmination of a lifetime spent observing, questioning, and imagining. Even in these final years, Leonardo's artistic brilliance endured. He continued to refine his techniques, experimenting with light, perspective, and human anatomy in sketches and small works. Though few large paintings survive from this period, his influence was felt throughout the French court and beyond. Patrons and scholars recognized that they were in the presence of a man whose ideas transcended generations. Leonardo's time in France also allowed him to reflect on his life's work. He reviewed his notebooks, revisited his studies of flight, water, and anatomy, and continued to explore questions that had captivated him for decades. He remained a teacher and mentor, sharing his observations and techniques with younger artists and engineers, ensuring that his knowledge would live on even after he was gone. On May 2, 1519, Leonardo da Vinci passed away at the Château du Clos-Lucé. Though the world lost one of its greatest minds, he left behind an extraordinary legacy: paintings that transformed the art of portraiture, sketches that anticipated centuries of scientific discovery, and ideas that continue to inspire wonder and innovation. Leonardo's life was a testament to the power of curiosity, perseverance, and imagination, a life that rose far beyond the struggles of circumstance to achieve the extraordinary. Leonardo da Vinci's final years remind us that genius does not fade with age, nor is it limited by place or title. Even as his body weakened, his mind remained a beacon of creativity and insight. In France, far from the hills of Vinci and the streets of Florence, he continued to dream, to invent, and to explore the infinite possibilities of human knowledge. His journey from humble beginnings to global recognition stands as a timeless example of what is possible when curiosity, dedication, and imagination guide a life. Leonardo da Vinci's life was a journey defined by curiosity, imagination, and the relentless pursuit of understanding. From the hills of Vinci to the courts of Florence, Milan, and finally France, he pushed the boundaries of art, science, and human thought. Yet his greatest triumph was not simply the works he left behind, but the way he transformed the very way we see the world. Leonardo was more than an artist, more than an inventor, more than a scientist. He was a universal genius, a mind capable of bridging disciplines, connecting the beauty of nature with the precision of mechanics, and capturing the essence of life in both canvas and sketch. His art revealed emotion, psychology, and depth. His notebooks anticipated centuries of scientific discovery. His inventions and studies illuminated principles that would inspire engineers, architects, and thinkers long after his passing. The Mona Lisa and The Last Supper continue to captivate audiences worldwide, not only for their technical mastery, but for the subtlety of human expression they convey. Every gaze, gesture, and shadow in these works reflects Leonardo's tireless observation and understanding of the human form. Beyond their fame, they serve as windows into his philosophy: that art is inseparable from life, that beauty is rooted in truth, and that observation and creativity are tools for discovering the world. Leonardo's notebooks, filled with sketches of anatomy, flying machines, bridges, and mechanical devices, remain a testament to his insatiable curiosity. These pages demonstrate a mind that never stopped questioning, experimenting, and imagining. He saw connections where others saw chaos, patterns where others saw randomness, and possibilities where others saw limits. Even when technology of his time could not bring his ideas to life, his vision anticipated innovation centuries ahead. His influence extends far beyond the Renaissance. Artists studied his techniques of light, shadow, and perspective for generations. Scientists drew inspiration from his meticulous observations of nature and anatomy. Engineers and inventors looked to his designs as prototypes for modern machines. Leonardo's life demonstrates that curiosity, rigor, and imagination are timeless forces, capable of shaping not just art or science, but culture and thought itself. Perhaps Leonardo's greatest lesson is that genius is not confined to talent alone. It is the relentless pursuit of understanding, the courage to question, the willingness to experiment, and the resilience to rise above obstacles. He transformed struggles into opportunities, limitations into discoveries, and curiosity into achievements that continue to inspire humanity. Leonardo da Vinci's legacy is not merely what he created, but how he thought. He taught the world to see, to question, and to imagine. In every stroke of his brush, every page of his notebooks, and every invention he conceived, Leonardo left a reminder that life, knowledge, and creativity are boundless, and that human potential extends far beyond the struggles that might hold us back. Even centuries after his death, Leonardo da Vinci remains a symbol of human ingenuity, curiosity, and the eternal quest for understanding, a universal genius whose vision continues to illuminate the world.